What's up, everybody? That time of the day, that time of the week, that time of the month.
It is, finally.
You're listening to the good,
the band,
the ugly. I'm Big Papa.
I'm Jeff.
Just Jeff.
Just Jeff.
Just Jeff.
Oh, well.
Oh, well. Season 2, episode 28. No, 30.
Yeah.
30.
It's all right,
brother.
We've lost touch.
How you doing?
Good, man. You?
You know, when we're recording this, as people know, we do record this. It is a nasty storm outside.
Yeah.
I mean, nasty.
Yeah.
And so
Ugly.
hopefully your dogs are inside.
If you hear rumbles of thunder, it's just us.
Or it's my hunger.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Got my big Mr. Big shirt on.
I see that.
Yep. Billy Sheehan was nice to me that day.
Gonna go there, huh?
Oh, went downhill from there.
Uh-huh. Here we go again.
Good week.
Yeah, man.
Hot.
Yeah, very
hotter
hot.
than 7 hells out there, dude.
Spent time with the grandson and the wife and kids, so everything's good.
Nice. I spent time on the 2 wheels.
I figured.
Put a lot of miles on the bike.
Good
you know,
deal.
they say that riding the bike, you lose you burn 136 calories per mile.
Better keep riding.
I've got a lot of riding. You son of a bitch. Wow.
Just kidding.
No, you're not. You're an asshole. Hey, we've got a great show for you today, as we mention all the time, but this gentleman has a resume
that you just wouldn't believe.
No, God. And he did some time here in Central New York.
Oh, I thought maybe he did some time in jail or something.
It's worse.
Oh.
He lived
here. Yeah. No shit.
But for those of you from the 80s, he helped us Central New York people out in all different ways, too. So, remember the Panhandler?
Do you?
No. You probably don't if you know what we're... Yeah, anyways.
Yeah, if you know what we're talking about.
Let's bring on to the show Mr. Bob Daitz, ladies and gentlemen. Boom. Just boom.
Boom.
There it is. Boom. There he is.
Hi, Bob.
Hello, boys.
Hello, Bob.
Pleasure to have you, sir.
Yes. It's nice to be had.
Your resume is just so incredible. Just not only just some of the stuff you've done with music, but my God, you've done just about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Except get an MBA and a PhD.
Well, that's,
well,
yeah. Is that the bullshit button you were hitting?
I'm trying to, but it needs a battery. So do I.
That's bullshit.
There you go. I got my own version.
That was not easy.
Right, yeah.
That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Easy,
Anyways.
easy, Barry.
we don't, you know what? That piece of paper doesn't mean shit nowadays.
Nope.
Anyways.
Well, don't laugh. When you talk about guys in the business, I know lots of guys who if Full Sail or Belmont or some of those schools were around way back when, they'd have PhDs.
Sure. Yeah.
But here's a bit of completely worthless trivia. Is it in Syracuse, New York, in 1975, a guy named Dana Round, Roun, who worked with Rick Mozo, who was a sound man, and a few other guys from Syracuse, they did sound for Boston and back in the day, Joe Cocker and Ozzy Osbourne.
Mm-hmm.
Dana Round was a sound engineer, and he lived down the street from me on Clarendon. It was in the Westcott district, which proves I did live in Syracuse. But Dana said to me one day, he says, "Bob, I'll see you. I'm leaving town. I'm moving to Orlando. We're going to start a recording school." "Oh, that's great. What are you going to call it?" "We're going to call it Full Sail University." I went, doesn't sound anything like audio or video
right.
or visual, nothing. It was, "Yeah, I know, but we're going to be in Orlando. We want to keep it a little nautical." Fast forward almost 50 years, you can go to Full Sail, live in a dorm, get a degree, a fully accredited educational degree, and maybe even get a job afterwards.
Still
Yeah.
going today.
Still going today. And there he was, dating around from Syracuse, New York, leaving to go start Full Sail. So the legacy of Syracuse precedes anything in this next, however long this conversation is.
Right.
But all those sound engineers, all the roadies who want to learn a trade and go to certain schools, that's one of the places that they can look at and say, I started here in Central New York. It started in Central New York, and there's the connection.
That's awesome. There you go. 7 degrees
cool.
of bacon.
That's right.
Yeah. So
Bacon.
give us your musical timeline. And
Okay.
and
I started wearing glasses about 15 years ago. No.
I lost my virginity at 7.
I'm still trying to find my virginity.
Yeah, I can't find mine either.
No. I moved to Syracuse in the winter of 71. So how long ago is that?
53 years.
Holy shit.
Is that your birthday?
I was born in 71, so.
I didn't think your math skills aren't that good. Yeah.
No.
So was I. I moved there in a car seat crib. I moved there. I lived behind Lawrence and Dorm on I forget the name of the street, but it was right on the edge of a cemetery where Lawrence and Dorm is. So you could look out and see the highway, and then behind us was some cemetery. But winter of 71, I moved to Syracuse to actually sing in a duo, folky duo, which coincidentally turned out to be called Bob and Art, a guy named Art Meisner, who teaches at Newhouse now still.
Wow.
And we played clubs, we played bars, we played Jabberwocky, we played the Fire Barn Tavern. We did 8 months at the Holiday Inn in Baldwinsville, where I didn't meet Mary Jo Spillane. But I did have drinks with Mark Gummer once a week, who's one of musical history's preeminent sound engineers and sound reinforcement company. Yeah. He's an innovator.
And Mark, hopefully Mark will be on the show as one of our guests soon.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can do an impression of Mark Gummer. Hi, I'm 6'8", but I sound 5'6". And while I was in Syracuse, I lived up over in the backside of Lawrence and Durham, and I had to work because we weren't touring. We did eventually tour and play clubs, 4 or 5 day jobs and places. And we got around, but I worked at the Syracuse New Times.
Oh, okay.
Remember that paper?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the longest uninterrupted running inner city alternative newspaper in the history of American journalism.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's more meaningless trivia, unless you're my best friend, Ken Simon, who started it. And then they opened one in Ithaca too. But I worked at the New Times. I worked a few odd jobs, but mostly at the Syracuse New Times. And then we started playing seriously. And then I got a full-time job with Cedric Kushner Productions back in those days. And, we're sitting here talking, and I asked you about your demographic.
Right.
I can't really say before you were born, because there are a lot of people who were in fact born before that. Some of you were born in 1971. Some of you were born before that. But I started working with Cedric Kushner, and we started doing concerts all over over Central New York and East Coast, the Bangor to Buffalo, Baltimore to Boston's market.
Right.
So in some circles, you would call it the secondary or third tier markets. But we were doing shows. We were kicking ass. We did the first show in America with a Canadian band no one's ever heard of called Rush. And I wore my R40 watch today in honor of them.
There you go.
We did Rush. They were the third act on a 3-act show. Tommy Bolin was the middle act, and I think a band called Angel was the headliner.
Okay. Yeah.
Christ,
Right.
Punky Meadows, right? Is that
Yep.
Punky Meadows?
I think so.
Yeah, he's trivia.
Worked around local bands, and that's in the 72, 73, 74, 75. Started working with Cedric Kushner in 75, promoting, and we really got busy. We did a lot of shows all over the greater Northeast. We were lucky enough to make friends with the Fleetwood Mac people, and we promoted Madison Square Garden, which was a coup. It was an incredible coup because they worked mostly with Ron Delsener in New York City, and they took the Fleetwood Mac shows away from him and gave them to Cedric. And Ron Delsener was not my friend for many years. And then when I started tour managing and he had to give me shit, he was my friend.
Right.
But we did that. We promoted all over the place. I got friends with a lot of the local promoters, not so much, but enough. Some of the guys in Rochester too.
Yeah.
I got to learn. We're talking about Syracuse. I should at least speak the dialect.
Rochester.
Rochester.
Gotcha. And I got friends with the guys in Orleans.
Yep.
Band from Orleans. They played Jabberwocky a lot. I sat in and played with them a bunch of times. Played with them all, and then played with them all over Central New York and the East Coast and a bunch of stuff. That was fun because I was also a musician. No, I was a conga player. I wasn't a musician. But I played fairly well. And then that got me contact with local musicians. And I got involved in the management side a little bit here and there. I got involved with Rick Kua, who you had on your show.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That was your stint during the Outlaws, right?
Well, that I think, did he tell you I was the guilty party with getting him that gig?
I think he did.
I think he did.
Yeah,
he
I do
did mention that you got him that gig.
I worked with Crack.
Yeah.
It's still hard to say that.
I know.
Yeah, I know, right?
I worked with Crack.
Boy, nobody beat Crack back then.
No,
boy,
not at all.
No, who would have thunk it?
Right.
But then I also worked. There was a guy who played football for Syracuse University named Dwayne Walker.
Yes.
Who was 6'4", dynamic. He got involved in the local theater and music scene. He played with a black keyboard player named Bobby Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
The Bobby Hamilton Quintet was a great jazz quintet with a lot of wonderful musicians. And he worked for them before he worked with Crack.
Right.
Before he went white, for lack of a better number.
Right.
But we played in New York City with his band, which was called Anubis, Anubis. The Bobby Hamilton Quintet begat this band, Anubis. And when I was managing them, sort of, kind of, and we got this gig at a jazz club in New York City called McKell's, which was historically a fixture of the jazz community.
Right.
And Mike McKell would pay for them to sleep, and we'd drive down and we'd play there once a month, and the place was packed. And luminary after luminary after luminary would walk in and tell them how much they loved them, and every third guy would walk in and say, "Hey," to Dwayne, "I saw you play against Michigan, or I saw you play against Penn State," and it was pretty cool. And then that guy Dwayne Walker was recruited by Rick Kua and Larry Arlotta, and he joined Crack, and with Rick Chisholm,
right,
and I got him too.
I love Rick.
Dude,
Come on,
oh my God,
we just played a show.
No. The problem with Rick Chisholm is the rest of the world was miserable. The rest of us were miserable bastards. And the world wasn't happy enough for Rick Chisholm.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't one inch of unhappy in Rick Chisholm's
Yeah.
body.
Yeah.
That
He
is
was
still.
I said that because he was happy-go-lucky. I mean, still is, but
Yes.
my
Yes.
God, there just wasn't a happier person than Rick Chisholm.
Bob, I had the luxury
yes.
about a month
both
ago.
did, yeah.
About a month ago, Ben Morrow was in town, and Ben was playing a show, and he asked me to come up and sing 2 or 3 songs with him, or maybe it was more than that. And then Jeff was there, and he had Rick get up and sing with us as well. And at the end of the night, we all got up.
Yep.
And it was just an honor. And like you said, the smile
That
goes
guy's just-
around his head. It's like
infectious.
You remember what song you all sang as a finale?
There were 2.
was it
One was the Journey song.
The
and then
Journey
there was,
song.
There was one.
Don't Stop Believing?
Oh,
Don't Stop Believing.
Sweet Caroline.
Sweet Caroline was a very yeah. So we did Don't Stop Believing together, and then we
Yep.
did Sweet Caroline.
Yeah.
And he, which was out of his genre, and he even said, he goes, I don't think I've ever sang this song before.
Right.
He's like, this is going to be
This is
fun. And we just had so much
This
fun.
is going to be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, not, oh, fuck, I got to do Kansas City again. Come
Yeah,
on.
right. He's just such a, and we want to, and I want to say to people listening, Rick will be on the show.
Yeah.
There's some personal reasons for why he's not, but he will be on the show, and we've talked many times.
Mm-hmm.
And when he's ready, he'll be on. But he's looking forward to it. So
Just such an infectious guy, though.
Yeah.
When you hang around with him. It's just-
yeah,
Oh, my God, that's it. There is no unhappy in his lexicon.
no, so
Nope, not a bit.
So didn't mean to cut you
great.
off on that one, but yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yep.
He's just such a
Oh, no, let's move on.
Wonderful guy.
So Dwayne Walker, God rest his soul. If anyone doesn't know it, he did pass 2 years ago. Crack was a great crack. Then back he came to crack, and they, listen, no pun intended, but those guys could have damn well cracked it. They were they were everywhere on the verge, but inside.
yeah.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And that it was a goddamn shame. I mean, don't get me wrong. Tommy DeRollo, Tommy the drummer, Tommy whatever, the drummer was a great drummer. And Ronnie DeRollo was a guitar player,
Right.
Whose brother was in prison for murder. And when we played Attica, he was sitting in the front row.
Nice to have a family reunion.
Right.
We couldn't believe it. We came back after the first set, and DeRollo's sitting in the dressing room, just shaking his head. And they come up. Ron? What's up? He goes, my brother's in the front row. It's like, get the fuck out of here. he's in the front row.
Right.
And that's another, we'll cut short. We won't go over this. Those guys were just Larry Arlotta, God rest his soul. He was just, it was a great band. It was a great. There's a lot of great bands like that were great that never quite. I mean, Dove didn't quite get there either. They were on the verge. I mean, even we talk about Billy Sheehan. Tallis took Tallis a long time.
Yes. Yeah, it did.
And to the point where they really didn't even do it, but
right.
So be it.
Well, I mean, even with Ronnie James Dio with Elf, I mean,
yeah.
There you go.
I mean, everybody in this area knows who Elf is, but not everybody
right.
worldwide can say, "Oh yeah, Elf."
Not
Ronnie
everybody knows
James Dio.
worldwide. And nobody really knows where Cortland, New York is, except the entire Dio family.
Correct. Exactly. So yeah.
But when I was working for Cedric Kushner, I was a production manager, I'm laughing because you mentioned in the pre-taping you mentioned about telling your worst memory, your worst horrible story.
Yeah.
And I'm laughing because it's literally one of those stories I can't tell. So I got to think of something else.
Right.
But anyway, so it has to do with me making an announcement on television. Oh, there you go. This is the imagination. This is the imagination section of our interview, ladies and gentlemen.
And there you go.
Perfect.
I'm standing at the microphone, making an announcement about smoking in the audience, and I'm standing at the microphone before an Emerson, Lake and Palmer concert, and the camera cuts in on me, and I saw this clip later that night, a close-up of Bob Daitz making an announcement at the microphone. Something fell out of my nose. And that's okay. I'll move on. Use your imagination, kids.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Just meet me at the Betty Ford Clinic. So anyway,
I'll be there from 9 to 2
every Thursday.
every Thursday.
But yeah, so working as a production manager for Cedric, we came in contact with a lot of national acts. A lot of, I mean, that's what we did. Yeah, like Jack Bell. Jack Bell. Mm-hmm. Jack Bell Presents. Was that before your time?
Probably.
I think so, yeah.
Chuck Cheo.
Oh, Chuck Cheo, yeah.
Yes.
Chuck.
Yep.
Chuck started with Jack Bell, and they were promoters. We were promoters. We weren't enemies or competitors, but because Jack had a different booking philosophy, and he had Springsteen, he had a bunch of great bands. Mm-hmm. Cedric bought everything. The rumor about Jack Bell was he never bought a loser, but he was an amazing promoter. But so I met the Outlaws.
Yep.
And the manager said, why don't you go on the road with us? We need a production manager. And I flew to Tampa. This is the same exact story for Rick Kua.
Right.
I flew to Tampa, Florida for an interview, had an interview, and flew back the next day with a gig.
Right.
Because they knew me from doing shows. They just had to go through the formality of hiring of an interview.
Yeah.
Right.
What happened to me, but didn't happen to Rick Kua, was I was at the Don Cesar Hotel in St. Petersburg, Florida, on the other side of the causeway.
Yeah.
And the Don Cesar, the world's largest pink hotel. And they interviewed me there. And I made the mistake of taking my shirt off and standing against the bar, having my interview with my shirt off, not realizing that the canopy from the bar stopped right here and the sun was hitting my back. So for 35 minutes, I stood in the sun and got the worst sunburn I've ever had in my life.
Oh, my God.
So I started the Outlaws gig off not being able to move my back. I was like so stiff for a month from the sunburn. It could have killed me. But Rick Kua, okay, so fast forward a whole tour with the Outlaws. We had this band that never got anywhere called Molly Hatchet. Back in the day, in the late 70s, mm-hmm. Molly Hatchet was selling a gold record every week. That's how popular they were.
Yeah. Yep. So
we had this sort of old Southern rock band, the Outlaws, and Molly Hatchet on tour, and Danny Joe Brown would always say, "We're letting the Outlaws finish for us every night." They were just printing money.
Right.
And tour ended, getting ready for the next tour. I called the manager. "What are you doing?" He goes, "Well, we just had to fire the bass player. We're having auditions." And I went, "Stop auditions." He goes, "What do you mean?" "I got the bass player for you." He goes, "What do you mean? Don't be an idiot." I said, "Do me a favor. After all I've done for you, do me one favor. Stop auditions today and see this guy the next day." So it turned out to be 2 days later. I called Kua. I said, "Go to you don't have anybody in the music business, do you?" "Oh, yeah." "Go to the record store and get all the Outlaws albums, listen to them, and then book a flight, or we'll book a flight. You're going to go to Tampa and you're going to interview for a job with the Outlaws." "Okay, Bob." Flew down, flew back with a gig. 10 years with the Outlaws. Done.
That's
awesome.
That was great. It's a great story for Rick.
Yeah.
He ended up moving to Nashville, and his musical history is a legacy to what Syracuse begat and what he made from his own natural talent.
What year did you stop with the Outlaws?
79.
79.
Right.
Okay.
And that's when. And he started in 80.
Wow.
Pretty sure. Yeah. Pretty sure. 80,
I think that's
80 to 90 or so.
I think so.
Or I stopped in 78. He started in 79.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I went back and did more stuff promoting and got involved with other stuff. Oh, shit balls. Hold on, boys. Hold on 1 second. Go ahead. Mark? Hey, buddy, I'm right in the middle of an interview, believe it or not. Can we, can I? No, yeah, for another gig, Mark. Can I call you back? No, it's for a show, a TV show in Syracuse. You all right? Okay? Everybody back home? All right, cool. All right, bud. Thanks. Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll be glad to know that Wiz Khalifa is back from Europe. All right, so...
Thank God I was nervous.
Jeez, I was too. I was going to ask you. Man. Well, I can
I
sip
don't
my
know.
coffee
You got
now.
that thing there. I don't know. Maybe that's a Khalifa machine. I don't know. I goofed around for a little while, and then in 1980, I moved to Columbus, Ohio. So I was there from 71, the end of 71 till the end of 80.
Okay.
Or the end of, give or take 80.
Nice.
And then I moved to Columbus, Ohio, where it's funny because then I ended up coming back to Syracuse to visit Ray Bono. I left. I fled the music business and went and moved to Ohio to become a traveling salesman to sell pipes and bongs and rolling paper.
Beautiful thing.
And
That's awesome.
Yeah. I got away from my bad life to go sell pipes and bongs and rolling paper.
I don't see why you wouldn't. I mean,
no, out of the frying pan into a deep fryer.
yeah.
Right.
But it was the Outlaws for me was just a 2-year gig, and then Kua just killed it. He took over, and then I came back. I was on my traveling salesman route. I was in Syracuse, and I went to visit Rick Kua at the upholstery shop. Right, and Nick walked in.
Right.
He goes, "Hey, we got to find a gig for Nicky." So I go, "Nick, how much is 1 and 1?" He goes, 3. He was in community college at the time.
Right.
And I went, "That's it. You're a tour accountant."
I was going to say tour accountant. Boom.
Yep.
And we called Doug McNeil and said, "We got this guy for you. You got to train him. He's great. He's handsome as the day is long. He's smart as a whip. And he's Rick Kua's brother." He says, "He's hired. I don't even need to interview him."
Nice.
Anybody named Kua. And that's what Rick Kua did to the music scene.
Yeah.
He has left an imprint that is honest, considerate, nice, God-fearing. I can do without. I swear to God, I'm an atheist. But just there was nothing bad about Rick Kua.
Right. Yeah, we say the same thing.
Yeah.
You almost like the only complaint I have is like, there were weeks where he didn't shave but twice a week. Okay.
Right.
How can you? I mean, that was it. Me, I was a rotten bastard. Or as Ronnie James Dio learned to say, I was a right bastard.
Yep.
And it was great being there. It was great living in a place that had an 11-inch permafrost layer of ice 10 months a year.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
It's cold.
So
It
great.
was cold.
Yeah.
It was cold. But I did learn how to drive in snow and ice.
There you go.
I won't lie to you. I'm pretty damn good at it because of Syracuse.
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Living in Florida certainly comes in handy. Me learn how to drive.
Yeah. Right.
I can describe it to someone. But 77, 78, 70, all 77, 78 Outlaws. And we still did shows with Cedric. Cedric then, we were, at that point, we never did Buffalo, believe it or not. That was really weird. I think we did Buffalo twice. Once with Fleetwood Mac and once with Queen.
Okay.
We promoted 2 shows. The rest was all Harvey and Corky.
Right. Well, I remember growing up in the late 70s, early 80s. All the concerts I went to, a good majority of the concerts I went to had Kirshner's name on those tickets.
Yeah, he bought a lot of talent.
Yeah.
And we all got involved. There were three of us production managers. One kid was from Binghamton, the other one was from Westchester, and me. And we got pretty involved in this stuff because Cedric learned his business on his feet.
Right.
And he was a South African rugby player. I mean, that doesn't say rock and roll all over it.
No, but it shows determination.
Right.
No, he really was determined. And we bought some shitty shows. But the fact is, and you kids who are learning the music business, if you're learning from the promoter side, you got to buy a shitty show to get a good show sooner or later. And it really took, two shitty shows, you buy your way up to a good show. And the next thing you know, you're doing Judas Priest everywhere and they're selling out. Or they're doing Rush, or you're doing Rush everywhere and they're selling out. And the fact is, there were a lot of acts that we did when Cedric was promoting that were not record successful bands. They were just live performance bands.
Right.
And those bands to this day are still doing great business. Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, they're still doing business.
Yeah. I remember.
How old is fucking Rob? He's got to be 140, 136.
That's how old his liver is, but
I mean, he looks it.
No. Ooh. Well, he's.
But you're right. There was some bands back then. I mean, you had bands like Anvil, Saxton, Black and Blue. Those are bands that didn't make it. They didn't do great on the album. But
I can't believe you said Saxon.
Yeah.
I was the production manager for Saxon.
Really?
And when I got off, I got in 1983, 84.
Mm-hmm.
I got called to be the production manager for Saxon. We did an English tour, which was quite an experience. And then we went to Spain and did a full-length music video in Almeria, where they did all the spaghetti westerns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was the first place I saw Biff with his teeth out.
Whoops.
Oops.
Oh, well.
Was that
everybody's seen him with his teeth out by now.
Was that the Denim and Leather tour?
It could have been.
Might have been.
83.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And the lighting designer was Dave Davidian. And we met this woman in Spain who was the assistant director, whom he and I, we didn't know what to do. She was pretty. And I spoke Spanish and Portuguese, and he spoke Cape Cod Portuguese, New Bedford, Massachusetts dialect. And I don't think she quite liked me. He married her. and later on in 1986, that same guy who maybe never thanked me for introducing him to his wife was the best man at my wedding.
Nice.
So, but Syracuse was great. I got up and out and around, but in 1980-ish, I fled and moved to Columbus, Ohio. And I part of the reason I left was because I literally lived around the corner from the Snowflake Bakery Shop.
Mm-hmm.
And you can only eat so many whipped cream pies and cakes every day.
Yeah.
It's just,
I know.
I had to leave. I'd have been 700 pounds if I didn't.
Those little chocolate diamonds on the side of the cake.
Oh, buddy. Oh my God.
Here he goes.
It's great.
And
So here's a fast forward story that doesn't mean anything. I get married to my wife in Worcester, Massachusetts at a Van Halen show. And then a month later, we get married again in Denmark because she's from Denmark. And it was a wonderful tradition. I plus, if I fucked up and forgot my anniversary, I always had another one. Right? But we walk into the American Embassy in Copenhagen, Denmark. So my wife can get a green card and we can register and do all the stuff. We walk in, my mom, my dad, me, my wife, and we sit and wait. We finally get shown into the vice consul, CONSUL, the vice consul, the office. And he's the guy that checks your your forms, and you fill out. Each one of us had to fill out a form and 3 previous residences. So one of them was Ellis Street, Syracuse, New York. So he talks to my wife, and she speaks pretty good English, except when it came to saying no to me. She speaks pretty good English. And then he comes to me and says, Bob Daitz, we've got this. And we had this job, you had that job. And residence, he said, you used to live in Washington, D.C.? Yes. And it says here you lived in Syracuse, New York. I said, yes. He said you lived here at 23 Ellis Street. Yes. But what it doesn't see on this is it doesn't say anything here about you having a brown dog named Lady that used to shit in my backyard. I went, excuse me? I'm Paul Sutphin. I'm your old neighbor from Syracuse, New York.
Oh, my God.
Oh, wow.
And every time your dog would shit in my backyard, you'd have to come over and dig it up and take it out, throw it in the can back on you. I went, oh, my God, it's you, Paul. He looked at my wife. He said, you love this jerk? Boom, boom, green card, 18 seconds. Yay!
That's
so
funny.
great.
That's awesome.
You know, they still, even though Snowflake is no longer around, they are still producing the cakes in Jamesville, New York. There's a bakery that produces, and it's the same people, same bakers, and the same chocolate
Columbus
diamonds.
Bakery still open?
Oh, yes. Yes, it is.
Yeah, because we still talk. With Pete Merluzzi and all the Syracuse guys always talk about, the 3 a.m. hot loaves with a stick of butter. Boom.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Pete, we told Peter. I said, what do you need sent down? We could say, do you need Columbus Bakery bread? Do you need some Hoffman's hot dogs or some salt potatoes?
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
That's great. I mean, you go to Columbus Bakery and you drive straight to your cardiologist.
Yes.
Well, you never just buy one loaf.
No.
You buy one for the car and one for the family.
Exactly.
My grandfather, we had it down like it was to a science, and we would do the same. That's the same conversation we have with just about anybody.
Yeah.
Rick Kua talks about it.
Mm-hmm.
Rick says that the guys down in Nashville want to have a Syracuse day.
And Ben Morrow was the one who figured out how to re-warm it up at home.
Well, I told him
with a wet towel.
No, well, close. My uncle used to, when I'd go out to Vegas to visit him, he would take the whole loaf in the paper bag, and he would dunk the whole bag in the water, and then put it in the oven that way, and it would rehydrate.
Yep.
Oh, great. Wait, Big Mike, I think it's hat time. We're gonna go Bailey on you.
Are we going Bailey? There you go.
Nice.
Okay. Well,
loving it.
Hello.
What was the old TV show with the Cowboys? Not Bonanza.
Green Acres?
No, the guy had the cowboy.
Gunsmoke.
When you did this with the front, I was like, oh, there it goes. Yeah. You either look like that or you look like the guy from Chico and the Man. So
I was thinking Archie Bunker,
but watching a soccer game. I was watching the England-Spain soccer game at a bar, and when my mustache is bushy and everything like that, the kids used to call me Albert, right?
Yeah, Einstein, yes.
So I wasn't paying attention. The guy says, an English guy says, Bob, come over here. I want you to stand here right here. I want to take a picture of you. So he takes a picture of me. And I go, there's got to be some kind of joke attached to this. He goes, and you could hear him want to laugh. He took a picture of me. And then he shows me the picture. It's beside the big poster for the bar for trivia night with a picture of Albert Einstein. Right there. So I got him over my shoulder and me in the picture. I was like,
there you go. You should have charged. You should have been drinking for free that night.
Oh, I was.
I was.
I was. He goes, have you bought a drink yet since I've known you?
Nope.
No.
Hey, your resume shows the Rolling Stones. It shows Van Halen, Sammy Hagar. It shows so many great people. I know we want to do this a two-parter, but hey, well, tell us.
Well, the truth is, I don't think any of it would have been possible had I not started with Cedric Kushner back in the day, because my exposure to national talent did I have the destiny and the aptitude? Was I inevitably going to end up where? Who the fuck knows? All I know is, thank God.
Right.
Thank God that for my exposure to Cedric. Did you know Cedric Kushner managed AC/DC?
Part of me did know that.
I do now.
Yeah.
Yeah. He says, Bob, I'm gonna sign a contract with AC/DC. We're gonna be their managers. I went, that's great. Next thing I know, I'm looking after Bon Scott.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, wow.
Talk about hard work, right? Everything about Bon Scott was true.
Okay.
Period. That's all I said.
Yeah. Right. All right.
But but they weren't making a lot of money
at
the time, and Lieber Krebs came along and said, Cedric in his private moments was hobnobbing in New York, and Lieber Krebs came to him and said, if you're not real happy with the situation, we'll take AC/DC off your hands. So they bought the contract out.
Oof.
2 months later, Highway to Hell was the biggest song ever, anywhere, from everything, you name it. And the rest was history.
Right.
I don't think Cedric ever recovered from that.
Yeah, that's one of those.
Stupid. Yeah.
Cedric managed Jerry Coetzee. He was South African, Cedric was. So he managed a South African boxer.
Right.
And he got a $3 million fight with not Mike Tyson, but somebody back in the day. And at 20%, it was a $600,000 payday. Right? So Jerry Coetzee is training, and a week before the fight, hits the heavy bag and breaks his hand.
Oh, boy.
So you could call that a $600,000 loss.
Right.
Yeah, he didn't have a good year that week.
No.
Nope. Right. But so knowing these promoters and knowing these different guys, working with the Outlaws, promoting the Outlaws, doing a show. I met the Outlaws, doing shows in every market, but anywhere, and then little by little, you get to know all these different other people. And Dave Davidian, who was the best man at my wedding, who worked with me on Saxon, turned out he worked for Sammy Hagar a lot. Mm-hmm. So in 1984, calls me 1983 and a half, right after Saxon.
Yep.
He goes, Sam's going to go out on tour and do this tour called VOA.
Yes.
Voice of America.
I saw it.
And he wants you to be the production manager. Okay, I'm down. Let's dance. And one thing begat another. And with VOA, we toured all over the place. And Sam was Sam. And we're doing a show in Beaumont, Texas, ladies and gentlemen, where the only paved road is a runway. No, it's not. And we had a day off, and I'm staying at the Holiday Inn in Beaumont, Texas. This is not an ad for Holiday Inns. It might be an ad for Happy Marriage. But I go to the pool. I'm getting ready to go to the pool, and a girl walks out of her room down the hallway, and I go, hi. She said, hi. And I said, hey, I just came back from shopping. I got this bottle of baby oil. I'm going to go to the sun. I'm going down to sunbathe. You're welcome to use it. She said, no, thank you, which were the only 2 words my wife knew in English at the time. No, thank you. Right? And so I chatted her up at the pool. I went down to the pool. I stalked her like a fucking fox. And I invited her out that night. And we went out. And then she came to the rock show the next night. And then she went back to Denmark the day after. And I courted her by long distance phone calls. And one thing lends to another. And then, 2 years later, we were married. But that was on Hagar. Nice. And Hagar met my wife before I married her. And Dave Davidian met my wife. All the guys in Hagar's band. And then, of course, after VOA, shit happened.
Yep.
Right.
With Hagar.
Yep.
Shit happened because during the Sammy Hagar tour was also the Panama 1984 tour for Van Halen.
Right.
And there were things going on in Van Halen world that didn't make any sense. to them.
Right.
Ed now were alcoholics, and I'm not telling you something you don't know.
Correct.
Anybody who's ever heard an interview with Eddie and you say Eddie, to me he's Edward, but Edward and Alex would always tell you that they were alcoholics since they were children. So I'm not telling you something you don't know, but that was falling apart because Roth, for whatever reason, was turning out to not be compatible in their mindset,
world.
in their space. And so that's all I heard about it for a while. Then about 6 months later, we're off tour and I'm getting ready to gear up for Sam again. Sam's tour manager at the time, Chris Pollan, who was a Green Beret for 2 tours in Vietnam, just passed away, calls me, goes, you're in Columbus, Ohio, right? Bob Daitz? I went, yeah. He says, how would you like to drive over to Indianapolis and interview for a new job? I went, I didn't know I was looking for a new job.
I mean, if I have to, I mean.
Yeah, right.
Right? Says, no, I want you to help me with Sam in Indianapolis. He's playing Farm Aid. I said, okay, sure. I drove over. So I didn't know that I was interviewing for Van Halen.
Right.
But he says, come with me. I'll introduce you to some guys. So we go into a tent and goes, Bob, I want you to meet Edward and Alex Van Halen. Hello, how are you? Nice to meet you. And they couldn't give a shit who I was.
Right.
They didn't know from Adam.
Right.
By the end of the day, they knew who I was, because I was the guy that found Schlitz Malt Liquor Bull in Indianapolis. But I didn't know I was interviewing for a new gig.
Right.
And Sam's band was uncomfortable because I couldn't quite let them know I was there. But then they just said, fuck it, you're here, may as well be here.
Right.
So I was there. And so Sam, I worked for Sam and have been involved with Sam since 1984 in one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And I interviewed for this Van Halen gig, which was an irony because during Farm Aid, Sam introduced Edward and Alex and himself as the lead singer in their band.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Which was a rather uncomfortable moment for the band behind him getting ready to start their last song.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Now, all due respect, nobody can fault Sam for how he handled his life because he paid those guys while he was in Van Halen.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a neighborhood in every city where the term mensch comes in. Sam was a mensch.
Yeah.
Sam is a mensch, and those guys, but they didn't know right when all that was happening. So the initial shock was pretty intense.
Right.
Like, the bass player looked at the drummer looked at the keyboard player, the keyboard looked at the lead guitar player, and they all just went,
What the fuck
just happened?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we just get fired? Hey guys, already 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like,
Yeah.
and they pulled it off and they played. But then, I think Sam was a man. Sam was a gentleman about it,
Mm-hmm.
handled it right. And at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
And a couple of those guys are still around. A couple of those guys still play with Sam. But so that begat Van Halen. And as I was doing that and knew all the promoters and knew everybody else, I got the Van Halen gig. And then somebody called me and asked me if I wanted to do a hair band called Poison.
Little band.
And I went, well, they only had 210,000 records sold.
Right. Right. At that point. Yep.
Yeah.
They were a self-promoting, self-marketing local band from Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
And when I went to interview them and we sat down at our first meeting and they started talking about me and I said, I said, look, not for nothing. I just hope you don't have anything against the kid from Harrisburg. And they looked at each other and went, how did this guy get here?
Right.
Because they were all about Harrisburg.
Right. Yeah.
And they didn't know me from Adam. And I'm interviewing, and they didn't know that I lived in Harrisburg before their parents were born.
Right.
But it was a great connection. So I started tour managing Poison. sadly enough, I had already tour managed Tina Turner, and I knew that I was going to go back on tour with Tina Turner. So I had a year with Poison.
Right.
And my wife, to this day, still sort of kicks me in the ass for leaving, but a commitment to a fucking musical legend is a commitment to a musical legend.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. And none of those guys could begrudge it for me, but from the first day with Poison, it was sort of magic, and it was great. And it worked great, but we did have different lifestyles.
Well, yeah.
They couldn't keep up partying with you. That's
right.
Yeah, they couldn't keep up with me. No, I don't think so. But, I think on each of their tombstones, it'll say, I was getting laid, and they dropped a song from the set so I could finish. It was great. And, but that was Poison. We holy shit. But my partner, whose name is Scotty Ross, one of my best, dearest friends, who worked, he goes way back to, he worked for Y&T.
Nice. Yes.
Love
Y&T. Musical
Love
knowledge
Y&T.
kids try and even think of Y&T. But he was a Bay Area guy, and he worked, Journey and Y&T and just everybody. He was waiting he was waiting by the door with the suitcase packed because he knew I was leaving, and they put somebody else in place in between. And I told the manager that he wouldn't last 2 weeks, and 11 days later he was out.
Right.
And then I said, the guy called me and says, "Is that friend of yours still there?" I said, "Bag is packed at the door, ready to go." And he did. And he spent, I think he spent 43 consecutive months employed by Poison without a break.
Wow.
Jeez.
They had a pretty good 4-year run when you think about it.
Yeah.
And they went from 210,000 units when I started.
Yeah.
And they were at 1.9 million when I left.
That's awesome.
And then look what the Cat Track did, finished at 13 million.
Jeez.
And that's why
And
we
they
opened
still
up
have-
with it.
Yes.
And
The only reason.
they still have lots of mailbox money coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Lots of mailbox. And then Scotty stayed with them for 12 million records, or 11.8 million.
Yeah.
So that was good. That was Poison. Then it was Tina Turner. And then I got a job offer in 1988. I started managing a guy named Bobby Massano, who was a friend of a friend who called me, who did this and that. And Bobby Massano played in a band called Stars with Z. Stars. Remember Stars?
I do not.
And everybody loved him. He was the cute little curly-haired guitar player. And he did a solo record. And I managed him. I managed his career into the ground. And from there, he had another friend named Robin Beck, who was a jingle singer, and her boyfriend was this guy, Michael Bolton.
Little name.
A lightweight.
A lightweight.
And I managed her, and then she managed our careers into the ground.
She Yoko owned it right to the ground.
Oh, fuck me. It was horrible. But it was a good, it was a good run, in 86, 87. What the fuck did so then I get this job offer to be the artist development manager for a record label in LA called Zoo Entertainment. They had Matthew Sweet, they had Philip Bailey, they had a few bands, and then we signed this other band that nobody'd ever heard of, may still not be well known by now, a band called Tool.
Never heard of them.
Never heard of them, right?
No.
All right.
Freaking love Tool.
Ask Maynard where his first record label was. It was Zoo Entertainment, and we just that was a good run for me, and I had a great run. And what the fuck else did I do? I mean, a lot of, and then I went into this record company, and worked at Relativity Records, which was an indie distributor, and then Columbia Records or Sony bought the label, and laid everybody off because they were going hip hop and they didn't want any white guys around. And I was the oldest. I was the oldest employee and the highest paid. And I didn't last. I didn't last after the first bean counter visit. I was out the door.
Right.
Wow.
And so back on the road with Van Halen, and 1990 when that all took a shit, back on the road, and Van Halen was 90 through 99, and I just we all sort of grew apart.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty good. It was a great run.
Yeah.
Great run.
Bob, do you still talk to Sam at all? Are you still in contact with him?
Yeah, I talk to Sam a lot.
Cool.
That's cool.
So he has to take my calls. I know where the skeletons are buried.
So when can we expect him to be on The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly? That's our question.
Never.
It's the same. I have to give you the same answer I give most people now in my business asking me about tickets for shows. I usually say, do me a favor. We're friends, right? Don't ask.
Right.
We'll stay friends if you don't ask.
Exactly.
Yep. Because frankly, those guys have guys who talk to guys who talk to guys.
Right.
If you got to reach out to Tom Consolo.
Right.
Who, you may already know. I mean, he manages Cheap Trick, REO Speedwagon, Hagar. He's a guy. He used to be a tour manager for Styx.
Okay.
For REO, one of those. And so he's. It's not like he's not reachable. He's not accessible, approachable.
Right.
But yeah, that ain't my gig.
Right.
Yeah.
No way. I took one leap of faith and told the manager to hire Rick Kua. So right now I'm 1 for 1.
There you go. There you go.
I can't press my luck.
Right.
That's right.
But that was funny. So you asked me about a moment. So I told you about the concert in Attica.
Yeah.
When we're with Crack.
Yes.
And that's a pretty shocking thing to have your guitar player go, my brother's in the front row.
Right. Yeah.
But I've been trying to think about stupidest blunder, and I will tell you about a stupid blunder, and this is for the roadie section of your listening audience.
Yeah.
Very cool.
If you work with more than just 4 amps, you bring in lights, you bring in sound, that you got to tie into an electrical power source.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
And it's usually single phase or 3-phase. It's
right.
100 amp or 300 amp or 400 amp. So I'm doing Cedric Kushner Productions. I'm doing Blue Oyster Cult. And my buddy, Bruce, I can't remember his name, Bruce Cohen, Bruce, a Jewish name like myself, was their laser operator. And we went to high school together on Long Island. And I remember him when he had his first laser, calling me over to the house to show me how he could burn a hole in somebody else's roof a mile away with his laser.
Fantastic. What a guy.
Fast forward. Now he's doing lasers for Blue Oyster Cult. Oh my God. But so they needed their own power source because back in the day, before lasers were compact, they used a lot of electricity. They were big. They needed water source for cooling. Xenon laser. Now you walk up, you put 2 AA's in, you got a laser. But so we're doing a show in Fitchburg, Massachusetts, with Blue Oyster Cult, and I'm a production manager, and I'm a hot shit production manager, and I put this show up, and we build the stage, we get everything in, and the electrician for the show comes up to me and goes, "Put the stage at the wrong end of the building."
Yeah, close enough to the panel.
290 feet away is the electrical panel.
Right.
The stage is built. The lights are already hung. The lasers are already set up on their scaffolding backstage. They weigh 1,000 fucking pounds. And I got the stage at the wrong end of the building. So I found 1,000 feet of 3/0 cable.
Oh, shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
1,000 feet. because I needed 4 separate runs of 250 each.
Right.
I'm not going to tell you what it weighed, but it almost ruined the suspension in my van when they threw it in after the show because I owned it. And it took me a year to pay that off.
My God.
It was the worst experience of my life. Put the stage at the wrong end of the building.
Wow.
There you go. That's a first.
That is absolutely a
That is
first.
a first.
I will say this. There's an upside to that, and that is the kids still got access to the public bathrooms, which were back where the stage would have been. Otherwise, we would have had another big problem because there were no public bathrooms available to the audience.
If you still had it, the copper value itself would be great right now.
No, I did. No, that was the weirdest thing, is that it sat in my garage for about a year while I was paying it off $100 at a time to Cedric. And somebody said, you ought to sell it. And I sold it. I mean, that was way back when.
Right.
But, I just wanted to get rid of it. I didn't want to see it because every time I turned around, I just really wanted to slit my throat.
Bob, did you ever have someone that you met? Well, no, I'm going to, you know what? I'm backing up. I'm going to stop. Does somebody in your family share a birthday with anybody famous?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah. So I'm working for the Rolling Stones. Hold on. Let me bend down and drop this name. I pick up this name I dropped. I'm rolling for the Rolling Stones. I got a job.
Little club band.
So, yep. No, there's a guy who's really, his name is Rusty Hooker. It's not his real first name, but he manages Heart, and he worked for Roger Davies. I've worked with him on Pink and Tina Turner and all these other bands. And we've known each other since the 60s when he was a drum roadie for Foghat.
Oh, another small band.
Remember them?
Yeah.
That's when they had drums.
Yes.
When Roger Earl was a drummer.
Yep.
But he calls me, he goes, you wanna come out and work for the Rolling Stones? I went, no. What do you mean? He says, we need a road manager to look after all the compounds and all the people who build the dressing rooms and all this other stuff. And somebody to work with so-and-so and so-and-so and look after the band, da-da-da-da. Sure. So I'm doing these tours. I start out, we're doing Steel Wheels.
Yeah.
That was the tour that I started on. And we go about halfway, 2/3 of the way through the tour, and we're playing Indianapolis. And my wife and daughter, who at the time, she's 35 and she was 2, so that's 33 years ago. They come along. She's 2.5. She's crawling. She's fun. She's a doll. Her name's Petra. And my wife's sitting in the band dressing room talking to like Ronnie Wood's previous wife. And I hear Keith go, "Somebody just grabbed my balls."
Okay.
So I walk to where the pool table is. And my daughter is standing up in the ball return playing with the pool balls.
Right.
I go, fuck. I pick up my daughter. I go, "I'm so very sorry." He goes, "No, that's all right. It's just a little lady, Bob." And Keith is just the nicest, sweetest guy you ever met. I said, "Yeah. Petra, this is Mr. Richards. Mr. Richards, this is my daughter, Petra." She literally bolted out of my arms and jumped into his arms. He looks at me, goes, "What time was she born?" I went 7:30 in the morning. He goes, "Shoot, I thought she was going to be older than me." Right? He goes, I was born at night. So, shoot, thank God. He knew exactly when she was born. He knew when she landed in his arms that they had the same birthday.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
And they would call every year, "How's my little Petra?" Wow. And the question was, "Why do you keep calling?" Petra would ask it when she got old enough to talk. And the answer was the same. "How am I going to remember my own birthday if I don't call you?"
That's cool.
That's awesome.
How many people can say that?
No,
You know?
I know it.
Well, I'll tell you, I got one for you. There's a country artist named Randy Houser.
Yes.
You know him?
Yes, I do.
He's a prolific writer and singer.
Yep.
What a great personality. I'm talking to him backstage in Naples, Florida, or in Estero, Florida, after a gig. And he goes, wait a second. Happened to me too. He goes, I'm in LA at the Grammys, or I'm somewhere in LA. It's a Grammy museum or something like that. And I'm standing in a crowd and everybody's asking Keith Richards for pictures. And all of a sudden he points at me and he goes, I'm only going to pose for one picture. Points at him. Come over here. And Keith Richards calls him over and poses for one picture. Looks at him and goes, what time of day were you born?
Get out.
Gospel. Tells me the story, almost unsolicited.
Wow.
That's strange.
That is very
well,
strange.
you know, Keith graduated, I think, with Jesus.
No. He was a hall monitor for Jesus when Jesus was in junior high.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh my God.
But he's, but he also has the guy is well versed in Elizabethan literature. He can quote Chaucer. He can do this. I'm at the Tokyo Dome in Japan. We did 10 sold out shows at the Tokyo Dome. That's 500,000 seats, pals.
Yeah.
And we walk into a press conference and we're talking about Shakespeare walking down the hall. Pushed the whammy bar for the door. He was drunk. Did the press conference, walked back out, finished the sentence he was on.
Wow.
Jeez.
So he's a pretty special guy.
Yeah.
Pretty well preserved, yeah.
But that's pretty cool.
He's not as old as he looks. But
Right.
He looks pretty fucking old.
Yeah.
It's just the wrinkles. All it is the wrinkles.
Yeah.
Underneath, it's a nice young guy with smooth skin.
Yeah. I'm a skinny guy with smooth skin under my wrinkles. Yeah.
Okay.
No, he's an amazing guy. Don't ask me any stories. I don't have any.
Yeah, right. Not that you'd want to share.
None.
You know,
you can
and you know what?
share.
Sometimes those stories are best to keep to ourselves.
Yeah.
Because they
It's
stay
funny,
special
I came
that
back
way.
from Japan after the shows, and that's in 1990s when I got offered the job to go to work for Relativity Records. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And so they called me and said, "You're coming out again, right?" I said, "Nope. I just got a job offer and I'm going to take it with a record company because nobody quits the Rolling Stones." I said, "Look, this is a chance for me to be home and have a paid vacation."
Yeah.
You know what the answer was? Are they hiring?
Yeah.
Are they hiring?
Right.
Well,
Paid
maybe.
vacation. Bam.
Yep.
So
Do you miss being on the road, Bob? At all?
I think there's a metaphysical side, then there's a philosophical side, and then there's a reality side.
Mm-hmm.
I live vicariously through my clients right now, and this is not an advert.
Nope.
No,
I know
please
where you're going with
don't
this.
Anybody listen? I have a company, and I have a service company. And my service company has 785 concert touring bands that are clients. Notice I didn't say what kind of service company, but I live vicariously through them because they live reliably and reliantly on what we do.
Right.
So I do metaphysically miss sharing the experience that I warn them against.
Yeah.
Right.
And they do, and they explain. And I know what they're going through. There are days when I wish I could see some of the new venues that have been built around the country that have been sprung up in the last 10 years. Metaphysically, yes, there's a part of me that misses touring. Because I think the people who can tour successfully and not end up dead, divorced,
Broke.
in rehab,
Mm-hmm.
or completely wrecked.
Right.
Yeah.
Not necessarily all in that order per se, Those people are cut out for touring.
Yeah.
It's like anything. If you're cut out for it, it doesn't kill you. And you ask any of my old cronies about Bob Daitz, where does he sleep? Driver's side, bottom back on a tour bus. That's me.
Right.
Driver's side, bottom back, over the back wheel. That's where I sleep.
Yeah.
And you could always find me there because that's where I sleep. For 20 freaking years, driver's side, bottom back. I can sleep on a bus. I can go to sleep with less than 5 minutes warning. I can wake up, put out a fire, and go back to sleep in less than 5 minutes warning. Now, that's good in my business now because I'm in the service business. If I get a midnight call or a 3 a.m. call, I can resolve it. I can function coherently, and then I can go to sleep right away and catch back up. I don't have to sleep till 1 in the afternoon because I was awake at 4. It's just a wonderful feeling to have survived that. There are a lot of people, sadly enough, who succumb to the demons and the habits and God knows what. And there's a course that I could probably teach it at one of those rock and roll colleges on survival, but it certainly wouldn't make the professors happy. Because it would start out with "Don't do it."
Yeah.
And
Bob,
if you're in college, and you're 19 or 20 years old, and you're going to learn how to be a tour guide, it's too late. Don't even do it. Don't waste your time.
Yeah.
Be a rigger. Be an electrician. Do something. Or go to college and get a degree or do this. But if there's a certain age where you know what you're cut out to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're just going through the motions, don't waste your time.
Well, one of the things that we talk about a lot on the show, Bob, is that if you have aspirations to do something like that, don't be afraid to be an electrician, a carpenter, someone in the fashion industry. There's so much that adds to a tour that people don't think it. The 5 or 6 or 4 people up on stage are just the very tip of the iceberg. There's so much more that you can do to contribute.
I mean, there's that old expression, all of this, that. I mean, we spend 14 hours at a place building and tearing down a show for a 2-hour performance.
Right.
Yep.
And that's why the good guys pay their crews well. That's why the good guys support their crew and take good care and set up a company, pay benefits and do this. There's a lot of great stories of bands or band leaders or band members or single celebrities who paid their crews during the last few years. And I don't use the P word or the C word, but there's there are a lot of guys out there who just took it on the chin and paid everybody because that was the right thing to do.
Right.
And I know one of them was Kenny Chesney.
It's funny you say that because I know another country guy. I'm not going to mention his names, but his initials are Thomas Rhett.
Yes. Yes.
He did. Kenny did the same thing.
Yep.
Thomas Rhett did the same thing. A lot of guys, TR did the same thing. And those guys will take a bullet for him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. And Sam Sam worked right through it,
Yes.
Sam and the guys who worked for Sam would take a bullet for Sam.
Right.
And it's like Keith said, nobody quits the Stones. Stones do the same thing.
Right.
I mean, yes, I do miss touring, but I got to tell you now, Jeff, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You have a grandson?
Yes.
I got to tell you,
yeah,
I don't miss seeing my grandson on FaceTime or playing with him or seeing him run down the hallway and jump into my arms. And you can't do that
on the road.
You can't do that you can't do that at Harpo's in Detroit. Buddy.
No.
That's right.
No, you can't.
Right.
No, you can't.
No.
So there are great things, particularly the memories about touring, the camaraderie, the relationships. I got guys from the Van Halen tour we've done this podcast a couple of times where we got 6 or 7 guys on this podcast, and the guy who runs it is just, you could tell that his glands are starting to swell up and his mouth's getting dry and he can't believe the shit he's hearing, because the love in the room is worth 1,000,000 miles of American Airlines extra fucking miles.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that. It's about the love in the room, and it's not about the debauchery. It's not about the philandering. It's not about the drug abuse. It's not about the alcoholism.
Right.
It's not about it. And listen, I was a production manager, tour manager. I was a roadie. I did this. There are plenty of times when I talked the guy off the ledge, fighting with his girlfriend, fighting with his wife, fighting. What do I do? Where do I go? What do I do? And you wouldn't do that. I would probably do that for a total stranger. So would you. So would you.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the human thing to do.
Right.
But year in, year out, you come back and do a tour every year, and somebody has a problem, and it might be a different problem than the tour before that. But you save somebody's life twice. Holy fuck! There's a bond.
There's a bond.
Yeah.
There's a bond. I one of my clients is Incubus, and I get a call on September 12th.
Right.
Yeah.
2001, maybe. I don't even remember how long ago. When was it? 2001? Was that when it happened?
Yep.
I get a call on September 12th, and the tour manager, Adam Gelfond, says, we got a show in Washington, D.C. tomorrow. And the guys are just freaking out. They don't know what to do. How are we going to do this? What the fuck? How are we going to do this? So I say, you got to ask them a few questions. Do they have roller suitcases? Do they mind taking a subway? And how soon can they leave? And the guy says, well, I'll get right back to you. I get a phone call 5 minutes later. Yes, let's dance. So my company that I worked for FEMA. And we were the only company that was allowed in the transportation industry to cross bridges and go through tunnels.
Right.
So I said, okay, you're in Soho in Manhattan. Get on the train, take the Lexington Avenue train uptown to 59th Street, get off 59th Street, walk upstairs. At the top of the stairs will be a black Ford Econoline van. The chauffeur's name is Chaim Bernfeld. He's going to be wearing a yarmulke. He's got a great big beard. He's going to take you to Secaucus, New Jersey, to your tour bus. There's a bond that happens between those people.
Yep.
It is unbreakable.
Right.
That's a memory that Brendan Boyd and I will keep for the rest of our lives.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
The old expression is, I could run his dog over in his driveway. And I would have to back up and run over him again to really piss him off.
Right. Right.
But I have memories with roadie colleagues that are like that. Sam Hagar would have had a jet on call before my wife went into labor. If my wife went into labor, he would have paid for a jet to fly me home.
That's awesome.
She was 10 days late.
Yeah.
So I was home. But yeah, I mean, I miss that part. I miss the camaraderie.
Right.
Now, I don't mean to say this from a gender standpoint, because it's an all encompassing term.
Right.
I miss the brotherhood.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sisterhood, brotherhood. I miss the brotherhood. The all encompassing non-gender term. I miss the brotherhood, because there's just something that you can't break.
Right.
The guys in Motley Crue will tell you about their stories, but they will also tell you about the stories that they had as a 50-man crew.
Right.
Yes.
And so, yes, metaphysically, I miss that. I don't miss having a life back. I don't miss being alive. I don't miss getting out in time.
Yeah.
Right.
To enjoy it the rest of yours. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And there were moments we all get where there are things that we all regret having done.
Mm-hmm.
And there are things that we can look back and be thankful that we didn't when we had the chance to.
Well, we mentioned this, and I'm going to let you ask your question because I know it's burning in your hole in your tongue. But we mentioned this in the pre-interview we were discussing. Anytime you're at a point in your life where you can reflect back and be happy of what I find myself saying, I would go through every bit of bullshit that I've ever been through in life to get to the great moments and to be sitting exactly where I am today.
Yeah.
So everything happens for a reason. We've all taken those paths up the stairs, down the stairs, around the corner. We could have turned right. We could have stayed low, but we didn't. It brought us here. It helped us be introduced to you.
Yeah.
To listen to these stories. I think it's important that our listeners and viewers hear more of what you have to bring to us, because there's so many layers to this onion that can't be even remotely unpeeled.
No.
And I'm
that's time for hat change.
Yeah. And maybe a boot change.
There you go.
But we do he just put that hat on. I want to go try some fizzy lifting drink. Uncle Joe.
Mr. Wonka.
But I can't thank you enough for being here with us today.
What's your question, Jeff?
Last question, we'll let you go.
For now.
Yeah. Is there a band that you haven't worked with that you would have liked to?
Don't say the Beatles.
Wow. I can't believe you asked me that question.
It's a great question, isn't it?
Fucking hell.
Bastard.
Sorry.
How much time?
Right?
A minute? Go ahead. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
Start the stopwatch.
I think I might have to work back chronologically. I think I would have liked to work with Foo Fighters. Not Nirvana, but Foo Fighters. Because I think what Dave Grohl brings to the table is very, very similar to the old vibe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I get what you're saying.
I think that he's sort of the dean of admissions to the College of Musical Knowledge.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I would have liked to work with Jamiroquai, an English kind of funky band.
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked to have worked. Wow, fuck. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, these are certainly not necessarily mainstream bands that I would have thought of. I work for. I mean, I've been in contact with a lot of different bands.
Right.
So actually, on a full-time employment basis, I think the Beatles would have been a cool thing to do.
Sure.
Back in the day, to see that the growth that was going on, and I don't mean, I will. I'll compare some of the genres and some of the explosions. When you look at what happened to Poison,
yep,
on a 21st century sliding scale, they were the Beatles.
Sure.
Yeah.
They were a phenomenon, a hair phenomenon that the likes of which no one ever saw.
No.
Okay.
Right.
The Beatles were the same. The girls just went crazy. But now what they didn't do, don't get me wrong. And I'm not trying to sell, CeCe DeVille and Brett and all those guys short, but they were not Lennon McCartney.
No.
Right.
Okay.
No, you're right.
Granted, but the Beatles for me would have been, that would have been just fucking rocking, man, just to be there. And I worked for a guy who was their road manager.
Mm-hmm.
And every time he thought about it, he talked about it, his eyes would roll in the back of his head, and he went into a trance.
Yeah.
It was that incredible. That was cool. That was Ed Leffler, Sammy Hagar's original manager.
Okay.
He was the agent who sold the Ed Sullivan Show, the Beatles, for their show.
Mm-hmm.
And he was their first road manager.
That's awesome.
In America. And, it was just, it was a holy shit moment to think about it, but then, so I think maybe, I don't mean to sell myself up and above the cost of doing business, but the Beatles would have been a cool band. I worked for Tina Turner.
Yeah. Yeah.
I worked for Pink. I've known Madonna since the 60s.
Yeah.
I don't work for her.
I know her.
I think we do each other a favor by not working together.
Right.
I tour manage Cyndi Lauper.
Okay.
Know? And me and her, we known each other a long freaking time.
Before the psoriasis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before the
before the commercials. Yeah.
Imagine her agent selling her skin condition to make money.
Correct.
Ever since I got herpes in 1982, I can't be, the flare-ups are terrible. Yeah.
No.
Oh, no.
This variety of psoriasis is called Lou Albano's disease. But I won't tell you where he's been.
Right.
But I'm fine. No, so, I mean, God bless. Now you got me thinking. There's a lot of great artists out there, I thought about that. I managed a band called The Gods. You remember the metal band, The Gods?
I do.
I don't.
Yeah.
You do because
I do.
Yeah. You're a lot younger than us.
They were signed to a label called Casablanca.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
About 6 months before another band that was on Casablanca got signed. And that one day somebody called them up. This is before I managed. Listen, I don't want you to take this personal, but we got this other band called Kiss. They wear makeup. You guys are history. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
Bye. That was the end of their career at Casablanca.
Yep.
So much for the guy.
Right.
Unbelievable. But yeah, so how did I do? How did I do?
Good.
Did that answer your question?
That was a great answer.
Yeah.
I think the Foo Fighters is a good answer in the context, in today's context, because I think Dave Grohl really epitomizes a good, red-blooded 21st century American musician.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
He's a student of the art. He's a student of the trade. And he's dedicated, and he's a multi-instrumentalist, which is,
Yeah.
Nowadays, if you're just a shredder, you ain't shit.
No.
Right.
Frankly.
Yeah. And that will bring us to where we are going to pick up with you on our next conversation. As long as you had fun doing this part.
Yeah.
Well, talking comes naturally to me.
No.
When you're a tour manager, you're that guy that's supposed to walk into a building and not be afraid to ask for towels.
Right.
I got towels everywhere. So I love it. And there's a way to talk about this without literally without dropping names. There are names that have come up in conversation, but I'm not dropping names because I'm not telling stories, and I'm, I'm 72 years old. I'm alive, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
And that's cause for celebration.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I celebrate my peers, my friends, my departed friends. I celebrate all the people that I've met and that come up on the road behind me. And I celebrate all the young people who are looking at this as a career path for their future. I celebrate you now. And you should celebrate yourselves now. Because, pal, the party's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's time to work hard. And if you're not willing to work hard, get the fuck out.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
I mean, you said there is no verbal filter.
Nope.
And really,
Jesus Christ,
no matter what the genre is, no matter what your genre of music, your pursuit, no matter what area of touring you choose to be in, and it doesn't, everybody doesn't have to be a player.
Right.
But everybody plays the game. And if you're not willing to work hard, get out of the way, because somebody else will.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I rest my case.
Words to live by. And like I said, I want to have you back. If you'll give us the privilege to coming back, we want to
stop. It was fun. It was great fun. And the good news is, what's today? July 15th?
Yes.
Yep.
It's going to snow in 3 days in Syracuse.
Oh, you bite your tongue, damn you. Son of a...
Well, Bob, we wanted you back, but I think the weather might have us snowed in.
Al, right? Bob, thank you so much.
Dude, thanks, man.
I know we keep saying it, but
Such a pleasure.
I can't stress it enough. And I hope that the people that have the luxury of listening to this will pick up some words of wisdom and then write into us, guys, and let us know what questions you have, because Bob will be back.
Yes.
And I know that, like I said to you before, Mary Jo wanted to make sure that we sent her love to you. So.
Well, if anybody's listening to this that knows me, say hello, hug, and kiss anybody else who knows me.
There you go.
All right.
Very good.
If I get kicked out of the old folks' home, though, I'm blaming you.
They should put a ramp. They should put a ramp at the front door for your wheelchair.
That's
Okay.
right.
Good.
That's right. And one
If it's
one
not
for your
ADA compliant,
that's right.
Yep.
And one for your 112
That's right.
cabinet. So, guys, this has been a great show. We're going to leave you up here. We're going to roll our credits, and we're going to say our outros. Don't go anywhere, because we're going to say our goodbyes to you separately. Yep. So let's do this.
Let's have at it.
There you have it. You've been listening to The Good,
The Band,
The Ugly. I'm Big Papa.
I'm just Jeff.
And that's just Bob Daitz.
Yes.
We want to thank our sponsors, DJ Life's a Beach,
Good Nature Brewery,
Uncle Jimmy's Local Live Music this week,
The Print Shop Underground,
Starkey Productions,
and Coffee Break Coffee.
and let's not forget Ultimate Ears, the Ultimate Ears Studio, and our newest sponsor,
Hogwash, Mike.
Hogwash. We have to say Hogwash because he's going to clean my bike next week.
Hogwash.
Guys, remember what we always say at the end of each show.
Be good to each other.
Don't be a dick. Peace, everybody. I'm going to fade out this music gracefully a little bit. And then we're going to hit stop, and then you're going to say your stupid shit.
Recording stopped.
There we go.
Recording stopped.
See, done.